This is my review of Encanto. Encanto is a story about a magical family who live in a rural area who are granted the power of miracles such as super hearing and being able to create plant life through a candle, or what they refer to as the miracle. The first candle holder, Alma, or better known as Abuela, didn't receive her gift or a miracle, but her children did once they turned 5, and subsequently their children did, all except for one on Julietta's side, their youngest daughter Mirabelle, who for some strange reason didn't receive anything. Right at the beginning, you can't help but feel pity for poor Mirabelle. I'm glad to see that Disney didn't waste any time with making us feel bad for the main protagonist. It really helps set the scene for how the rest of the story is going to play out. I'm also glad Disney opted to not go with the odd man out trope. Usually in stories like these, when one person doesn't have an ability and is surrounded by people who do, they tend to make them a bit of a loner. I like the fact that Mirabelle still tries her hardest to be part of the family. A good example of this is when she helped Antonio reach his door. I thought that was really sweet. Speaking of the extended Magical family, this is a wonderful cast of characters. Each one brings their own little spark that makes this movie so wonderful to watch. From the erratic Peppa to the perfect Isabella, each one's just a delight to watch, especially when interacting with Mirabelle herself, leads to some very interesting encounters.
Sorry, what is your problem? Hey, Lisa, hold up!
That being said, while I do think there is a wonderful cast of characters, I do feel as though not all of them were utilized properly. I get this is a large cast, but it really seemed to me as though Giulietta and Bruno's side of the family really had a focus, while Peppa's really didn't get a whole lot. That imbalance does make things a little weird to resonate with some of the other characters like Dolores and Camillo. If you're part of a big family like myself, then you know the struggle of maintaining very good relationships with everyone else, and Encanto manages to capture this perfectly. A good example of this is the rather poor relationship Mirabelle and Isabella have with each other for most of the movie. The way Isabella and Mirabelle talk to each other has such raw sibling energy in it, you can't help but laugh when you hear them speak.
Have you lost your mind? That your life is so great.
But I believe one of the most important family relationships in this movie was the relationship between Bruno and Mirabelle. Both of them were essentially considered outcasts in the family. Bruno, because his vision wasn't really helping the family all that much, and people tend to assume the worst out of his visions. So the bond those two ended up creating because of it was very exciting to see. But to be honest, I'm surprised this kind of relationship happened at all. Based on the marketing, I really thought Bruno was the villain, and I hope I'm not alone in saying this. Speaking of villains, I'm glad there was no traditional Disney villain this time. I think the fact that focusing on the whole family problems is a way better focus rather than having Bruno as the villain. It may be a bit harsh to say this, but sometimes family really is the problem, and sometimes you just gotta buck up and fix it. Even if it means interacting with people you really don't want to interact with. Although, if there were a villain, I'd have to say it would be Abuela. The way she treated and terrorized her family, even though it was unintentional, really showcases how authority figures sometimes don't always know what's best for the family. Something I found refreshing was the fact that Abuela actually admitted to her faults at the end of the movie. In real life, I find it rare for a toxic authority figure to actually admit their faults and the damage they caused to their family, so the fact that Abuela was able to reflect and actually apologize to Mirabelle was actually something very warming. Now, setting aside the characters and the plot, the strongest part of Encanto has to be the music. Each song in Encanto has an amazing voice cast and amazing lyrics that really get in your head. My favorite song in the movie definitely has to be We Don't Talk About Bruno. I know it's a little contrived, but the lyrics are just so great. Now, I might be in the minority here, but another one of my favorites definitely has to be What Else Can I Do? The fact that Mirabelle and Isabella didn't have a great relationship at the start, but watching these two bond during the course of the song and finally hugging at the end was just so heartwarming. Despite of the love I have for Encanto, I can't help but there are a few little things that prevent it from being the perfect Disney movie. For example, we saw the detriments that Bruno's power brought to the family, but what about anybody else? Dolores can't seem to filter out what she can and can't hear, and is constantly hearing things all across the community. That sounds to be so detrimental, yet we have no evidence on how it really affects her. Like, does she get any sleep? Another critique I have would be looking at all the rooms. 9 total, and we only see a third of them. Sounds like a wasted opportunity to me. Of course, these are minor criticisms to an otherwise amazing movie. Overall, Encanto is one of the best movies Disney's put out in recent times, and anyone who has a chance to see it, I recommend doing so. At the time of this posting, the movie is currently showing in theaters, so why don't you go give it a shot and go look it up. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, try to give a like or leave a comment. If you didn't like what you saw, try to leave me some feedback to see in ways I can improve. Thank you. Have a nice day.